The Prime Minister under fire this morning for claiming that our health system is keeping up with cancer diagnoses. Jacinda Ardern made the statement on this program on Monday. Have a look.
What they're saying at this point is that diagnosis appears to be keeping pace with what we've seen in the past. Look, in terms of screening, they're a mixture of whether or not people were coming and accessing and its availability. I'd want to go away and just double check on that because the Cancer Control Agency, again, has highlighted, with the exception of August last year, the numbers have been keeping pace with what we would expect.
The numbers have been keeping pace with what we expect. So we were written to by the Breast Cancer Foundation. The CEO, Ah-Leen is with us this morning. Good morning.
Kia ora.
Great to have you on the show. Is that true?
Oh, we strongly disagree with this, Brian. We've been writing to the government for over 6 months now. Actually, it's 6 months to the day that we first wrote with the Missing Women campaign of 133 missing women from COVID. What we know is the breast screen Aotearoa system was under pressure pre-COVID, but post-COVID, we now know that there are 50,000 women overdue for their screening mammogram. And what this means purely on the numbers, of those 50,000 women, we estimate that 300 of those women could have cancer.
You're telling me that 300 women in New Zealand right now could have cancer and not know about it because of delays in getting them screened?
Totally. There's 50,000 women based on the data received from the National Screening Unit. So based on what we know from our modelling, we would expect to see 300 women with a cancer diagnosis in terms of those numbers. So what this means for women is it delays life-saving treatment. Breast cancer is entirely treatable if it's found early, which is why screening mammograms are so important.
Is this women who can't be bothered to go and get a mammogram that we're talking about here? Is this some sort of hesitancy about going to get it? Or is this a delay in the availability of them because of COVID?
This is a delay in the availability of them. So literally we are years behind. So for breast screen Aotearoa, that has been instrumental in saving women's lives. To catch up, an additional 1,000 mammograms would be required every week. So by promoting mammograms, you're actually promoting getting in a queue and waiting for your mammogram. Women know that mammograms save lives. So it's essential that the government invests to clear this backlog.
How can we be having such disparate points of view between your foundation and the Prime Minister? How can she say that we're keeping pace when, you know, is there a discrepancy between the data that you're using perhaps and the Cancer Control Agency is using?
The data that we have is based directly from the National Screening Unit, which sits inside the ministry. We've been communicating where the data is at for over the last 6 months. We've met with ministers, we've requested information. We want to be part of the solution here in solving the problem. But what we have to do is have a clear commitment to clearing the screening backlog.
And is this because of the COVID lockdowns and the restrictions that were imposed that led to the backlog?
Yeah, so as I said, the system was already under pressure and the government acknowledged that by additional funding. However, during Alert Level 4, all screening ceased, and Alert Level 3, screening was significantly less, which is why we have over 50,000 women overdue their mammograms.
Do you think that the lockdowns would have led to anyone dying of cancer they should have known they had?
It's entirely possible, Ryan, but it's hard for us to quantify where the impact is. What we do know is that women will be diagnosed later, and what that means is delays to life-saving treatment.
How are we doing with surgeries? Because that's obviously quite important, you know, the delay between diagnosis and surgery.
Yeah, so the data we have in our recently released report from the National Breast Cancer Foundation Register highlights that 60% of women aren't getting surgery within the targeted 31 days of diagnosis. For many, this won't be a problem, but for some, it's not until the first surgery that the full extent of the breast cancer is known. So it's incredibly important that women get their surgery within the targeted 31 days.
What are some of the implications of that if it's not happening within that targeted time? What do we know from overseas?
Yes, so from an overseas perspective, what we know from a UK report is that the relative risk of cancer increases by 17% for every delay within an 8-week period. For 12 weeks, that delay increases the relative risk by 26%. So that's really important in terms of getting your surgeries fast.
Yeah, that's quite frightening numbers there, indeed. All right, well, we're going to obviously go back to the Prime Minister with this, now that she has come on the program and said, you know, basically the opposite. So we will see what answers we can get for you, Ah-Leen. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Ryan.
That is Ah-Leen Rayner with us. She's from the Breast Cancer Foundation New Zealand this morning.